Pristina, the capital of the United Nations-run province of Kosovo. On one side, pro-independence demonstrators. On the other, UN anti-riot police. And watching closely from the sidelines is Naim Rashidi, a local Albanian Kosovar working as a researcher for the International Crisis Group. These are ethnic Albanians who make up around 90% of Kosovo's population. The more radical have formed a group called Vetëvendosje, or self-determination. They've grown impatient with the UN administration and the wrangling over Kosovo's future, and are demanding full independence from Serbia now.
We are here to say, the people of Kosovo, that...
According to Glaut Konjivka, one of the protest organisers, they're not looking for trouble today.
From our side, we guarantee that the demonstrations will be peaceful, but we cannot guarantee anything about police.
The situation suddenly becomes more tense, and UN anti-riot troops from Pakistan appear in front of the marchers.
The protesters, they wanted to pass through the road, normal road, to go back to the HQ, and the police has blocked the road.
For a few minutes, things threaten to get ugly, and the anti-riot troops prepare to fire tear gas. But the barriers are moved aside to allow the protesters through, and tensions drop. Naim tells me what probably would have happened if the police hadn't backed down.
It could have been very well. Automatically the protesters will start attacking the police, throwing to unmanned building everything they have, and could have come even dangerous stuff from backside, out of, not as a part of protesters, but throwing to unmanned whatever it could have been.
So it's quite
it's very, very close, and the police managed to avoid it in the last minute.
Naim had called the police commander on his mobile from the middle of the demonstration, pleading with him to move the police aside. He knew exactly how bad things could have got. The next day, in the International Crisis Group office in Pristina, Naim and Alex Anderson, the group's Kosovo project manager, are playing me footage of a similar demonstration last month.
Police, as you see, was not advancing, moving toward the crowd in order to make them spread more and more. They were just staying in the same line and shooting, nothing else. Look at it now.
So it's like a turkey shoot. I was really quite shocked when we first saw the footage.
The 10th of February, and Vetëvendosje protesters were again confronted by troops from UNMIK, the UN mission in Kosovo. The protesters' path had been blocked, and as they tried to push through the UN police lines, things quickly spiralled out of control. UN peacekeepers started firing. 2 unarmed protesters were killed outright by rubber bullets, and around 60 injured.
They were shooting crazy. Hundreds and hundreds tear gas bullets.
Italian UN police drag away this protester after he shouts pro-independence slogans at them.
The whole operation, how it was conducted, and even the bringing of the Italian Carabinieri up behind the demonstrators, to, in effect, to sandwich them between these Polish and Romanian forces, and to effectively just squeeze them. And this random shooting, it all had a punitive feel about it. if you can think of any headline things that might have changed since we put out our report in late 2005, what would they be in terms of...
While the crisis group has a high-powered executive that lobbies governments at a senior level, it's in offices like this all around the world that the most fundamental work is done.
We're a field-based organisation. The roots of our reports are found in the research we do down at ground level, and ultimately the benefits of those reports we intend also to be for the people at ground level.
And as the group's project director here in Kosovo, it's Alex's job to come up with ideas to prevent the region from slipping back into open conflict.
I'm not defending any institutional interest in Kosovo or elsewhere. Ultimately, I have freedom to be able to write reports based on how I see the possible ways forward to actually resolving this conflict. It's going to be a very long road getting there.
To do his job, Alex has to be well connected in the region. And as it turns out, he has a very personal link to one of the demonstrators killed last month.
So I saw his photo and name in the paper, and I just couldn't believe it. I thought, this is my former landlord. He was quite a quiet, sort of reasonable guy, and where he was killed was obviously in the very first moments of confrontation in the demonstration, right at the very front of where the protesters clashed with the unmixed riot police, and he was hit by a rubber bullet fired straight at his face. It was hit him here and unfortunately penetrated his brain, and he died.
After their lethal clashes with the police, Vetvendosi are in no mood for compromises with anyone, and Gracanica doesn't dismiss the possibility of war with Serbia.
Maybe we cannot finish it with Serbia by demonstrations, but then we will look what kind of tools and what kind of organizations are needed to face with Serbia. Maybe even by war. Why not? If Serbia wants so, we're ready.
Hotspots will be in this side and also in this part of Kosovo.
10 years ago, there was war between Serbia and Kosovar Albanians. To avoid yet another bloodbath in the Balkans, NATO forces intervened, and the Kosovo province was carved out of the former Yugoslavia. Around 16,000 NATO troops are still here. But according to Vetvendosi's Liban Aliu, nothing will be settled until Kosovar Albanians get their own permanent army.
Whenever I see that Serbia is planning to come back here, and they are getting armed more and more, and whenever I see that UNMIK here and these artisans, they are not giving us the right to have army in order to defend ourselves from Serbia, I will keep weapon and I will hide it somewhere, and one day I will take it out when they will come to kill my children as they did before. So there is no chances here to the people to think for peace and to make sure kind of security for the future. There is no security for the future here. Whenever we don't have army, at first thing, in order to have peace here, we need army.
A new army is exactly what's been proposed as part of a plan for Kosovo's future, put forward by the former Finnish president and former crisis group chairman, Martti Ahtisaari. And this is most probably where that army will come from. During the fight with Serbia, ethnic Albanians formed the Kosovo Liberation Army, or KLA. After the war ended, to keep them out of trouble, former KLA soldiers were absorbed into a new force, the Kosovo Protection Corps, known as the KPC. Trained and supported by NATO, they're marching here today. But according to Serbia, this is a terrorist organisation. Alex and Naim have come to gauge the mood of the crowd.
People have been content to let the KPC tread water for the last few years, in a way that the KPC also has regarded itself as an organisation that's treading water, waiting for the opportunity to again become a military body. In other words, to pick up the baton where the KLA left off.
Today, former Kosovo Liberation Army soldiers are paying their respects to the dead. More than 50 members of the extended Jashari family were massacred by Serbian forces at the beginning of the Kosovo War, and they've become icons of the struggle for independence. General Suleiman Salimi, a former senior KLA commander, is now the head of the Kosovo Protection Corps. But Ahtisaari's plan has been completely rejected by Serbia. What does the Ahtisaari plan give the Serb communities in Kosovo? Will they accept that, or will they en masse go? Or they don't seem to be particularly pleased about it.
You're right. Kosovo remains a really hugely divided place, with a majority community and a minority community that really do not talk with each other. They live in completely different worlds.
They speak a different language, literally.
Oh, absolutely. And Kosovo Serbs, 7, 8 years after the UN has been here, still regard Belgrade as their capital, do not recognize Pristina's authority. Very few actually come into Pristina. They still regard it as a dangerous place, although I think it is far less dangerous now than it was maybe a few years ago.
Just a few kilometres down the road from Pristina is the Serbian enclave of Gracanica. Here, the thought of independence and a Kosovo army is viewed with horror.
Svima nama je ovdje u Gračanici teško, ne samo u Gračanici, nego u svim okolnim selima. Ovdje sa enklave ima i dosta, dolaze ovdje slobodu, imaju samo u Gračanici. Van Gračanice nema niko. Pa onda naša deca nemaju slobodu, koji bi trebalo da napreduju, da nauče nešto o budućnosti, a mi idemo unazad. To je to. Svi su uplašeni, svi kupuju parcele, kuće i tako dalje tamo u Srbiji. Znači malo se iseljava narod odavde. Ako nema, ostaje. To je to. Znači ja koja nemam, ostajem ovdje, znači i ne idem dalje.
The largest Serb community in Kosovo is in the divided northern town of Mitrovica. We're driving up to talk with a prominent Serbian leader. But the town is literally cut in half, with NATO troops and UN police patrolling a bridge across the river.
This is the bridge between North and South Mitrovica. We can't take our car over the road here. We have to get out and walk because the car's got Kosovo number plates on it, and the police here won't let it across.
On foot, we eventually find the office of Momir Kasalovic, a Kosovo Serb politician with strong links to the Serbian government. He flatly rejects the Ahtisaari plan for Kosovo and any idea of independence.
Pa znate kako, najviše smeta ono što u stvari omogućava da Kosovo postane nezavisna država. Mislim, to su te stvari. Mislim da jednostavno da može da samo da ima svoju vojsku, da ima da pristupa i potpisuje međunarodne ugovore. Dakle, sve oni atributi koji Kosovo čine državom.
Despite the complete deadlock between Serbs and ethnic Albanians, the crisis group has been able to make some ground in Mitrovica.
We proposed that there should be a Serb municipality in the north of the city. This got a very frosty, grumpy reaction amongst Kosovo Albanians, particularly here in Pristina, who really quite resented this, who have the idea that once International Crisis Group writes something in a report, this tends to become reality. But when they came to present their own proposals in Vienna in the Ahtisaari process for what to do with Mitrovica, what to do with the divided north, they effectively raided that very same report for their own proposals. So I think we are able to nudge the situation and influence it in good ways.
But as in most other conflict areas where it operates, there is some suspicion of the crisis group's motives and on whose behalf it's really acting.
I've heard it said that crisis group in some ways must be tied up with Western intelligence because the information it produces is so accurate and so on the money. Have you come across that, and has it caused you problems?
Well, I hear from some critics the phrase that the International Crisis Group is not a non-governmental organisation but a near-governmental organisation. And there's...
I've heard it said that it's a creature of Western intelligence in some areas, but it's gone as far as that.
I don't think that holds water. The research that we do it ourselves. We do it with regard to our mandate, which is conflict prevention, conflict resolution, and our own ideas about how best to realise that. If we have good sources, it's because we try to talk to people all the time. That doesn't need to be the exclusive domain of intelligence agencies. In fact, we try to operate openly. The product of our work, we put it out on the internet. It's open for everyone to see. So we try not to act like an intelligence agency, though I can see that why some people might regard us in that way.
The plan for Kosovo's independence was put before the United Nations Security Council on Monday. But already it looks like it'll be blocked by Russia. And according to the International Crisis Group, if that happens, then it's going to be hard to contain the violence in Kosovo.
Now, if Kosovo Albanians see that this process is not working, if there are more delays where they have a sense that the international community does really not have a sufficient weight of commitment behind this, that certain obstructions seem to be insuperable.